We will go ahead and call this meeting to order. If you would please rise and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Could we please get the roll call?
Chair Spear.
Here.
Vice Chair Stevie.
Here.
Commissioner Weiler.
Here.
Commissioner Correll.
Here.
Commissioner Gustafson.
Here.
Commissioner Jester.
Here.
Commissioner Maccaro.
Here.
Thank you. For approval of the minutes, we have two items to approve: the May 12th, 2026 minutes, as well as the May 26th minutes. Are there any exceptions to the minutes for May 12th? All right. And can we have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve the May 12th.
We can speak closer. I don't know that we have volume control. Okay, you bet. Thank you.
All right. Motion to approve the May 12th minutes.
Do we have a second?
I second.
Call for a vote.
Chair Spear.
Yes.
Vice Chair Stevie.
Yes.
And apologies, actually. I know we're moving on to the new system, so actually if everyone could hit refresh on the iPad to your right.
Oh.
Is everyone seeing yay, nay?
Yes.
Awesome. All right. Go ahead and get that in.
Okay.
All right.
We will also call for a motion to approve the May 26th meeting minutes.
I've got a comment
Yes. Commissioner
on
Weiler.
item number 2 of the minutes, and that was for the Article 70 revisions. We did not have the commission action in the minutes. So I wanted to make a note of that if those could be added to these minutes before it went off to City Council. So, question, is that the proper motion to make?
Yes, you could make that that motion, and we can see how the voting goes. I mean,
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
As long as everyone's comfortable with that, that's a fine motion.
Everyone clear on Commissioner Weiler's revision?
Okay. Then I move to approve what's the date? May
26th.
26, 2026 minutes with the addition of the Planning Commission action on PL 25-0083.
Do we have a second?
Second the motion.
Thank you. Call for a vote.
The vote is 6-0 to 1 to approve the May 26, 2026 Planning Commission meeting minutes.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner Weiler, for the note and that revision, and also for your work in looking up the minutes from the previous and helping to adjust that as is reflected. Excuse
You're
me.
welcome, Chair.
We do have written communications.
For We do not have any written communications for items not on the agenda.
Not on the agenda, okay. Or oral communications requests?
As far as I see, not for any items not on the agenda.
Okay. In addition to that, we will be continuing, a request to continue the item, agenda item number 3, which is the Cleveland Avenue Conway Drive residential subdivision. Being that we will be continuing that potentially and listening to that at a different time, those that may be here that wish to have public... Those that are here that may have wished to make a comment on that agenda item, we'd like to invite you to do so at this time, since that will be continued potentially. So if there is anyone that would like to comment on that item, please make it known.
And sorry, if I could just clarify, Chair Spear, you're giving them the opportunity to comment today out of a courtesy so that they don't have to come back to the next hearing where this is heard, but they would, if they choose not to comment today, they would certainly have the opportunity to comment when this item is heard.
Thank you for that clarification. That's correct. All right. If you could turn in your slip at some...
I did already.
You did already. Okay. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
Good evening. I'm Mary Kathleen O'Keefe Morris, an Escondido resident, 92026. And I'm here because I believe, as I'm sure you do, unequivocally that adequate and affordable housing is critical to our building a really healthy and successful community here in Escondido. And we also know that each day in these economic times, that housing becomes less and less attainable. The number of families struggling to make ends meet continues to grow exponentially, and it's going to take each and every community and each and every neighborhood to address this housing affordability crisis that we now find ourselves in. Like many in our community, I have been able to pay my mortgage throughout the years without issue. I know that that has had positive impacts on my family, my children growing up here, and on the positivity and of our neighborhood and our community. I care deeply about adequate and affordable housing because I know the impacts that that has on our environment, on improving our health care, addressing social inequalities, and the education of the children who grow up here. We all have a housing story. In 1990, my family was young and just starting out with 2 modest incomes. I was a teacher here in Escondido, and my husband was a carpenter. We were paying affordable rent, and we could stay on a super tight budget for years and then afford the loan for a really simple and modest home. I've been in Escondido for 33 years. I've been a teacher and a principal, and my husband started a business here running a contracting company. So we know up close and personal how all the hard-working families are doing all they can to meet the challenges that to make ends meet. To afford a $500,000 mortgage, a family would roughly need to be making $180,000 a year and be able to afford more than $4,000 a month in costs, housing costs. Do you know who doesn't make $180,000 a year? Our firefighters, our teachers, our x-ray technicians, our dental assistants, our nurses, all these important occupations and professions that we rely on to keep our neighborhoods and communities safe and run. And I didn't even mention the people in our service industry workers, our grocery store clerks, our doctor's office receptionists, and those people that are cleaning our hospitals and our schools every night. So many more people here are making so much less. What can we do? Well, the land that you're referring to, Cleveland and Conway, that's already been sold. It's going to be developed. The current plan per state density bonus law and Article 67 of the Escondido zoning code requires that 3 of those 29 single-family homes be deemed low-income affordable. That's just 10%. I urge this planning commission to approve the development only if the number of affordable housing units is increased to 20 or 25%, 6 or 7 units. I want to live near the next generation of young families, and I want our neighborhood in North Escondido to include those who make our community work and be vibrant and strong. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Yes, if you could, please. If you haven't filled out a slip, we'll ask you to do so afterwards.
I appreciate that. I actually already filled out.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Thank you
You
so
have
much,
3
Commissioner.
minutes.
Perfect. Thank you so much. My name is Kenny Morris. I am also an Escondido resident. I'm here to speak also in favor of the subdivision only if that affordable housing increase of the subdivision is approved, and I would also request that both to the developer and this commission to approve it up to 25%. And the reason actually is because I know this field quite well. I was a first grader at Reedy Creek Elementary School the first year that it opened, and I walked home from school past that field every day. And so actually when I saw the sign, I was pretty excited that this was getting developed. I mean, it's sad that Old Escondido is gone, but if it's being developed, I would love for it to be developed with affordable housing included. And the reason is because I was really lucky that I went to college. I was able to move back to San Diego, but only for a few years before I was priced out. I was bouncing around different rental units, and I had to leave for the last 3 years. And again, I was lucky that I was able to come back here to Escondido and be here in the community that I love and the community that I would really love to stay in. But I cannot stay here if there's not affordable housing. And that's full stop, because I know so many people, so many of my friends who grew up in this town, and then they moved to South Dakota, they moved to Florida, New Jersey, and that is the reason's clear for that, right? According to California Housing Partnerships, 56% of San Diego renters are paying over a third of their paycheck towards their housing, and 29% are paying over half of their monthly paycheck towards housing. I think that's ridiculous, and I think that we can do better here as a city. I would love for Escondido to do better, and I know that y'all would love that too. You want people to put roots down in the city, and you want this to be a thriving city just like us. So I would, again, urge that you approve this subdivision only with the affordable housing included, and I would urge you also to do everything in your power to not let the developer just pay a fee to move that around. I also want to be living where I want people who are able to live in this community to stay in this community. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'm Mark Skoke. My wife and I live on Briarwood Place, which is in the neighborhood, and we walk past this tract at Cleveland and Conway almost every day, multiple times a week. I'm here to speak against the proposal. I fully agree with what the two previous speakers said. My primary concerns are egress in case of a fire. It's a high fire area, and we've just got the new development at the end of Conway, the Beezer development. And if you look at all the homes in North Broadway, up Lorishon, up Kaywood, and then around, and of course, the developments throughout the Conway area, that is a lot of cars that would need to evacuate in the case of, say, a wildfire that gets pushed down, that slope behind. This is my primary concern. There are 2 points of egress, the intersection at Conway and Rincon, and of course at Broadway and, Rincon Country Club. So that's my primary concern, that we're just putting too many people in that area. I know it's a very tempting tract for building, but I'm against it just because we're putting too many people in an area with too restrictive, the egress is too restrictive. In regard to what they're saying about affordable housing, I fully agree, and I'd like to say if this is going to go forward, that there should be a higher proportion of affordable housing with it. You look at the three Beezer developments in that area, as you know, they're all like 1.5 million up. People just do not have an opportunity in this community, and they're moving here to get away from the high prices at the coast, but the prices here are going up for, starter homes. I also agree that, young families need an opportunity to buy affordable housing, and that we have to hold developers' feet to the fire, that I know it's not economic for them to build low-income housing, but we do need, more starter homes put in rather than multi-million-dollar homes. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Anyone else? Again, if you haven't filled out a slip, we'd ask you to do so afterwards, and you have 3 minutes.
I'm sorry. My name's Fred Enstrom. I've lived in Escondido for 37 years now, and I live nearby the property that's supposed to be on Conway. And there's many things that come to my mind, and that is water. Where are you guys approving water? I've noticed the declaration of water that's up in the Lake Powell. The water reservoir is going very low. Lake Mead, the water level is extremely low. They're going to redo the agreement that was built in 1922 for the agreement on water. And how can the city of Escondido allow building to take place and have infrastructure for water and sewer? How is that available? How can that be? It doesn't seem to make sense to me. And so I'm really paranoid. So I appreciate the fact of low-income housing. I think that's great, and I think it's wonderful. But would somebody explain to me what is low-income housing? What is it? What is low income? Can somebody explain that to me? Is there a developer here that's tonight? Can he explain it to me? Does the developer live in Escondido? Is he from here? I doubt it. It's a money grab. It's a money thing. Let's put the housing out in little Escondido. Nobody cares. I do. I love Escondido, and I've been here a long time. And it's like, I think it's important that we all realize how our youngsters, my grandkids, they would like to have a house nearby Grandma and Grandpa. I understand that. But what is low income? It's called very low income is what was on the invitation tonight. Very low income housing. What does that mean? Can somebody explain that to me? Can anyone here explain that?
The public comment section.
Pardon me?
This is a public comment only section. We can't address it until it's an agenda item next time.
Okay, but I would like somebody to understand what does very low income housing actually mean. So I think I've made my piece. It's like, I'm really worried about water. I don't know if anybody else is, but it's like, if they turn off the tap, we're in deep doo-doo here, all right? And it's like, it's bound to happen. I mean, the water level in Lake Mead is down like 145 feet right now. It only has 20 feet more, and the water won't be able to go through the turbines. Anyhow, I've said my piece. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate your comments. I believe we have another gentleman.
Good evening. My name is Joe Morris, and neighbor of Fred Enstrom, and you've already heard from my son and wife as well. We're in this property is in a pretty unique area where it borders almost like an hourglass of the city of Escondido, and there's also county homes that are involved there where the density is not as high as what this project is considering, due to most of those homes being on septic systems. I know some of the most recent, recently in the last 20 years, you've had the metal brick homes, you've had homes further out on Broadway, off of Jesmond Dean. We have a recent project that is nearly built out, the Wolford homes. And like Fred Enstrom was saying, you also have, or excuse me, one of the other gentlemen in regard to the Beezer homes over by Rincon Middle School. All of those are 2,000 square foot plus homes, and I don't believe any of them have any affordable housing whatsoever. Even the closest one to us, which is the Wolford Estates, I think when they first were promoting their project, those homes were supposed to come on the market under $1 million. I think if it was in the $600,000-700,000 range, and they did incorporate what this proposal is like a tentative density where there was going to be affordable housing in the form of apartments and such. Well, that went out that did not happen. I mean, those homes are currently, I think the last signage that they had up where the homes were going for $1.5 million and up. So there's definitely the issue of the affordability. Like Fred Instrom was saying again, the water is a huge issue. We have combination of Valley Center water, we have city water, Rincon Water District is there as well. It's a tight area as well in regard to that. But I think my big concern is how some of the other projects have taken place, including the Escondido Country Club Estates, where they had already started with low density that the city of Escondido allowed due to the golf course being in their backyard, where when the new developer came through, that was a moot point, that they had now homes in their backyard. And I think that the attractiveness for the bonuses of adhering to the density that's proposed, where if it's 3 out of 29 homes, that could easily be an advantage for the community as well as far as affordability. And I'd just like to know, again, just how well thought out it is, and the 20,000 square foot.
3 minutes are up, sir.
I apologize.
Are you fine?
I just look forward to hearing more on the project as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have others that wish to comment? I'm sorry, I didn't hear. We will have another opportunity. You will have another opportunity to comment, written or oral, at that time. Yes, or prior to.
But if I could just clarify that, yes, the written communications that were received in advance of this hearing will be considered for the 23rd.
Any others? Okay. Thank you for those comments. We do appreciate you taking the time to be here and expressing your thoughts and concerns. Greatly appreciated. We will move on
And
to...
Chair Spear, if you just want to, could you just clarify for the room, just in case the public isn't all aware that this item is going to be continued to the date certain?
Yes. The item number 3 on the agenda, which we have heard comment on tonight, public comment on, it is again Cleveland Avenue and Conway Drive residential subdivision will be continued to the June 23rd meeting. So there will be opportunity at that time for additional public comment and to have a staff presentation and to hear that item at that time. So with that, we'll move to agenda item number 4. And this agenda item is PL 240309 Chestnut Drive, 6-lot residential subdivision map. We'll start off by asking if there are any disclosures. No? Okay. We have a staff presentation.
Thank you, Chair Spear. And good evening, Planning Commission. My name is Alex Rangel, Associate Planner for the City of Escondido's Planning Services, and I'll be presenting planning case number PL 240309, a tentative subdivision map for the development of 6 single-family residential lots, 2 open space lots, and 1 private street lot. Tonight's presentation agenda will include the following: a summary of the request before the Commission, a background of the project site, the project's plans, design, and analysis, public comment that we have received for the evening, the city's environmental determination, and the recommended action for this evening. The project site is located and addressed as 500 Chestnut Street. It is approximately 4.15 acres, accessed solely from the eastern side of Chestnut Street. The project is currently occupied by an existing approximately 1,700 square foot single-family residential use occupied by rental tenants. The structure as existing will be demolished as part of the project. Additionally, the project is identified within the city's housing element on the Suitable Sites Inventory, or SSI, which identifies properties as being suitable to accommodate housing units during the current housing cycle. I'll be speaking to the Suitable Sites Inventory and further density provisions later in this presentation. The project site is zoned R110 for single-family residential development under the General Plan Land Use Designation of Suburban. The R1 zoning designation is intended for the development of single-family residential homes with a minimum lot size of 10,000 square feet. The applicant, Robert DeMauro, on behalf of Masson and Associates, submitted a tentative subdivision map shown here for the development of 6 single-family residential lots. The project also includes the development of 3 letter lots divided into 2 open space lots along the western and northern boundaries of the project, and 1 private road lot for access to all of the residential lots. The residential lots themselves range between 15,000 square feet and 29,800 square feet. Currently, there are no structures proposed as part of the project. Only the subdivision of the lots and the preliminary grading are provided at this time. The project site is accessed from Chestnut Street to the west with the development of a 36-foot wide private access road, which will be maintained in the future by a homeowners association or HOA. Due to the existing uphill slope on the property, a retaining wall is proposed along the northern boundary of the road, which will further separate the existing homes to the north from the private road. Section detail shown here to the right demonstrates the elevation change facing west outside of the project, with more detail demonstrated in attachment 2 of your staff reports. Shown here are the proposed lots and grading design for residential lots 1 through 4 of the project. Lots 1 through 3 are graded with a split-level home design, intended for 2-story homes with the primary entry on the first floor and access to elevated rear yards on the second floor, intended to reduce overall grading on the site. A retaining wall traverses lots 1 through 4, further reducing grading throughout the entirety of the project. Areas above the retaining wall and the retaining wall itself will be maintained by the future homeowners association. Section details shown here demonstrate the view of the street and the adjacent paths in 2 separate sections, Section A on the right side of your screen and Section C on the left side. An additional retaining wall will be provided on the western portion of the private street, further maintained by the HOA. The design for lots 5 and 6 are somewhat simpler. However, will still incorporate contoured, steep grading on the exterior portions of both residential lots. Full details for the project, including the grading, may be reviewed within the site design portions of your staff report. The project additionally incorporates grading exemptions, which are specific types of slopes beyond the standard grading as required by Section 331066 of the Escondido Zoning Code. These slopes are demonstrated here. To the north and the southeast, slopes are presented at a 1.5 to 1 ratio as proposed, and to the west with a fill slope within 50 feet of the property line of the project site. The applicant has provided a preliminary geotechnical investigation report for the justification of the safety and stability of said slopes, substantiating the requirements necessary to allow for these grading exemptions. As discussed throughout this presentation and on your staff reports, the proposed project and future development will have significant portions of the site maintained by a homeowners association. The maintenance requirements will include private road maintenance to include driveways, parking areas, curb and gutter, stormwater and drainage throughout the entirety of the project site, and landscaping to include the landscaping of the right-of-way, the maintenance of the retaining walls, and the rear yard areas of every lot. Landscaping, as demonstrated in your staff report, is conceptual only and will be reviewed formally post-entitlement. Planning staff would now like to provide additional analysis regarding the following topics of interest regarding slope density and the suitable sites inventory mentioned previously tonight. As described within the Land Use and Community Forum regarding density consistency of your staff report, the proposed project is subject to additional review for appropriate yield for density in relation to slope values. The project will be creating 6 residential units, or 1.44 dwelling units per acre, falling under the maximum allowable density pursuant to the general plan. Additionally, the project site is identified within the Housing Elements Suitable Sites Inventory, presuming a build-out of 12 above moderate units. As the project is proposing only 6 units, the provisions of no net loss apply to the project. An analysis was conducted with findings as detailed in Table 4 of your staff report, demonstrating the citywide housing capacity remains to meet the requirements of state law and to accommodate for the city's remaining regional housing needs allocation, or RHNA. Therefore, the city would continue to comply with the provisions of no net loss with the approval of the project as proposed. As part of the no net loss review for the project and all projects reviewed throughout the city, Planning Services maintains running tabulations of the city's SSI capacity to needs buffer, and remaining need for the city's regional housing needs allocation. As detailed within the general plan conformance section of your staff reports, as demonstrated again in Table 4 of this section, the city continues to comply with the provisions of no net loss. As required by Article 61, Administration Enforcement, and Section 33-1330 of the Escondido Zoning Code, the public hearing for this evening was noticed in the Escondido Times Advocate on May 28, 2026. Notices mailed out to individual properties on May 26, 2026, to approximately 163 properties within a 500-foot radius of the project site. City staff engaged with multiple residents surrounding the project site over the past few weeks and provided further information regarding the proposed projects to said residents. Attachment 5 of your staff report includes 2 written comments that staff received prior to the publication of the staff report, and additionally 2 additional comments that were provided to you in the dais this evening. One concern was related to private access along the private entry road. One was related to stormwater runoff from an adjacent property of the project. Additional public comment was received this afternoon regarding concerns for ingress and egress safety along the project site. Planning staff brought these items to the attention of engineering services in the city attorney's office, and staff currently have no remaining concerns at this time and are available to answer any questions regarding the said comments. Additionally, we received 1 written comment in support of the project and in favor. Staff analyzed the project under the criteria of Class 32 for an infill development project exemption. Pursuant to the California Environmental Quality Act, the proposed project is categorically exempt from further review, subject to CEQA Guidelines Section 15332 for infill development projects. Complete details can be reviewed in your draft Notice of Exemption for the project. Development Services would like to request that the Planning Commission adopt Resolution Number 2026-05, approving the project subject to the provided conditions of approval. And this concludes staff's presentation. Planning and Engineering Services staff are available for any specific questions you may have. In addition, the applicant's engineer and the property owner are available for specific questions that the commissions may have.
Thank you, Mr. Engel. Did the applicant or their representative desire to make a presentation?
Not at this time, no.
Thank you. Okay. Do we have questions of staff or the applicant?
I have a question. Alex, thank you for the excellent presentation regarding this. Regarding the no net loss, there's currently a rental property on the parcel?
Correct, yes, sir.
So if that's taken away for the grading and the preparation of lots for sale, what is the time limit for providing housing? I mean, what if it doesn't happen for like 3 years or 5 years?
Give me one really quick look through my staff report and I can provide you that information. So the provisions of the Housing Crisis Act of 2019 and for any sort of replacement housing or rights of occupants for timeline for demolition is included in your staff reports under the subsection 2. Specifically, replacement housing, the property tenants did not qualify as protected units under SB 330 and specific replacement housings for their specific income level were not applicable. However, the rights of current occupants, owners, or renters are allowed to remain in the unit regardless of said protection status until 6 months prior to the start of construction activities. And that includes the proposed demolition and grading of the site.
Okay, I see that here. I have one other question. With regard to the engineering, you had said that the comments came in, they were discussed with the city's attorney's office and the engineering. And what was the consensus, that no action be taken or that there be an action taken?
Yes, thank you, Commissioner Jester. Generally, the consensus was that the concerns that were proposed are adequately addressed in the site design, and then no further action is required for the design as proposed in front of the commission body at this time.
So that would include what is, just a random question, Megan Thorne, question from Megan Thorne about possibly doing a right turn only at the stop sign. Was that considered?
Yes, the proposed design includes a median in Chestnut Street, and that would prohibit left turns onto Chestnut when exiting, and also left turns when entering from, I guess that would be Fifth Avenue.
Oh, okay, okay.
There's a median there.
So there's going to be a median there. Okay. Thank you, Alex. That's all I have.
Thank you, Commissioner Jester. That was your question as well? Okay. Commissioner Weiler.
Yeah, I only have one question for staff, and it's along the same lines as one of the comments that was received by the property owner at 939 Halecrest regarding off-site, I guess, stormwater impacts that are occurring from this property onto that property. If staff could clarify how that gets corrected with this project.
Of course. As Alex mentioned, there's a proposed retaining wall on the north side that's adjacent to the resident that brought this issue up. And north of that retaining wall, there's also a proposed concrete drainage ditch that will be collecting the stormwater runoff, and eventually it will go through the underground stormwater treatment proposed and then make its way down to the storm drain in Chestnut Street.
As a follow-up, so essentially any sort of drainage that would be coming from the project site would be eliminated not only because of the grading that occurs, but the swale, I guess, that'll be installed as a part of this project.
Yeah, the swale, the concrete drainage ditch is collecting the off-site runoff and bypassing it through. But then the stormwater runoff generated by the site is mitigated by the underground storage facilities.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Mr. Chairman, I've got a follow-up to that. Thank you. With regard to the cut-fill sections of sites 5 and 6, those are some pretty heavy-duty cuts and fills. I noticed there's a brow ditch at the top of the slope. It looks to me like, is there a brow ditch or a swale at the bottom?
I don't recall one at the bottom, no. Not
Okay.
one at the bottom, at the top to prevent erosion mostly.
Right, and what other mitigating efforts are in plans for those slopes? Because that's not going to do it alone.
Right.
They take a lot of maintenance.
They do. The geotechnical engineer has determined that because of the soil type, the gradient that's proposed is acceptable. I don't know if the engineer wants to add anything to that as well. Okay.
To be clear, that's a 1.5 to 1?
Right.
Okay.
Well, there was a 2-to-1 and a 1.5-to-1. Those are
Currently demonstrated on your screen as well. So
yeah,
that's-
pretty steep grades.
Right. And 2-to-1 is a standard slope ratio that we usually permit in most situations.
Right.
When it goes to the lower numbers below 2, when obviously 1.5 to 1 is demonstrated, that's when we require additional analysis provided.
Where in relationship to the, what was the address of the comment?
939 Hillcrest.
What,
Yeah. This,
that's-
as demonstrated, this is on the south of the property. I'll bring up the, so lots 5 and 6, where you were just looking, is on the southern portion of the property. 939 Hillcrest is on the north, about where you see the lot C on this image is where that property is located. So it's on the opposite side of the location you were looking at.
okay, could you go back to the last slide real quick? I just want to see.
The 5 and 6, sir?
Yeah, 5 and 6. There was, is there riprap down there to pick up that drainage? There's riprap right at the point.
Are you talking about the toe of the slope?
I'm talking about the top of the slope to the toe of the slope on lot 6.
Right.
Which way is the water flowing here? To the right? To the left?
It's running north to south.
Okay.
It's very poorly demonstrated in this screen image. However, the actual plans that are provided in your staff report do show the actual drainage along the slope going from north to south on the eastern side. You can loosely see them in the screen right now. You can see the small arrows. They just didn't transpose very well for the presentation.
Okay. All right, thank you. That's all I had.
Thank you. Any other questions by the commission? Okay. Do we have any public speakers on this particular item?
Yes, we do have public speakers. I actually have a list
stack?
that I could
Okay.
call out if you'd like me to.
If you could, and just to remind the audience, if you have not, you can certainly speak even if you haven't submitted, but please, we'd ask you to fill out a slip as well. And we'll go ahead and, if you could call maybe the first one and then let the next one know who's coming up.
Yes.
And remember, you each have 3 minutes to speak.
Uh,
Excuse me, since I live at 939, does anyone mind if I go first? Because the questions were being asked about 939 Hillcrest Drive and the water.
Go ahead, it's fine.
Thank you.
Sure.
So, 939. The way the water comes off of Hillcrest comes down.
Sorry, could you introduce yourself?
Oh, my name's Debbie Arnold. I live at 939 Hillcrest.
Thank you.
And the way the water comes off Hillcrest Drive, it comes down my driveway and into the back, right in that area we're talking about, where you said you were putting the water catch. What has been there since the day I moved in is like a catch basin, and it would fill with water with a berm, a dirt berm. Every year when we had good rains, that fills in just like that. And over time, it drains. But the water is substantial off of the hill and off of Hillcrest into that culvert. So my concern is that catch basin going to be big enough to handle that water? That was my concern. And not further degrade my banks, because that's kind of what I deal with, thanks to the way the city pitched the street, Hillcrest, when they built it. And the one other item I'd like to ask about is my property doesn't run straight like that. It comes down another 12 feet from my retaining wall that my house is sitting on. Are they going to take my property to put in their wall? The developer. Are they going to encroach on my property and take it to build that street and the wall? So that was one of my big questions.
Okay.
Because it's 12 feet. I had a surveyor come out when I bought the property, so I know, and the stake happens to still be there, so I know where my property line is. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll proceed with first those that you have.
Yes. Michael Collins Frias, and right after him will be Saber Hansen.
Hello, I'm Michael. I've been a resident of Escondido since 1986, and I'm concerned about the topography. My house is directly beneath the property that you're proposing to be grading. I'm concerned about if they're going to use dynamite, because there's a lot of blue granite in that property. I've looked at the property to purchase it, and I'm surprised that they're finally developing it. It needs to be developed, and I do hope that you allocate for low-income housing on all sites, not just this one. I'm a little blind, sorry. Are the elevations going to be dealt with? Is the sewage being dealt with? Fire hydrants. You're the Planning Commission, I hope you do. Will there be a bond in the event of the developer doing dynamite? Those are my concerns. That's it.
Thank you, sir. Saber Hansen. And next after Saber is?
Kristen Bueller.
Thank you.
How you doing? My name's Saber Hansen. I live at 522 Chestnut Street on the private road. Bear with me. This is my first time ever come out in front of the speaker and speaking in front of people. So the questions that I was going to ask is about the development of the street, the private road, and if it was, from what I understand, they're going to take out my fence up the private road to put in the curbs and sidewalks. And not only that, the development of the property of the private road, all the construction stuff, the health, because like I have health problems, stuff like that, will that be considered the intake of what the construction is going to involve of the dirt and stuff like that, and all the construction noise and what have you? Are we going to have access during the constructions to our property and stuff like that? And will they take care of damaging of any property and as to the in and out of our property? That's basically what I wanted to ask all the questions and get answers for. And I was going to try to get the map and stuff of the development. I haven't had a chance to do that, and I'll probably look at that more often, more in the future. And there going to be other meetings involving this development that we can come and talk about any other issues that develop, I find out that I can talk about. That's all my questions I have. Thanks.
Thank you. After our current speaker.
Tabitha Janing.
Hi, my name is Kristen Bueller, and I am a resident of Halecrest, whose property will be directly impacted by the proposed subdivision. When my family and I were considering purchasing our home, one of the features that made the property especially appealing was the open space that is directly west of our property. We don't see the house that's on the property. It's all open. And it just has been really nice being in a neighborhood. We did not come from a neighborhood. We came from, a house with land or property. So moving to a neighborhood where houses are closer together, having that open space was really awesome. It made it appealing. And so that open area provides a unique sense of openness and rural character that is increasingly rare these days. It creates a peaceful buffer between properties and contributes significantly to the country-like atmosphere that has made Halecrest such a special place to live. Over the past 5 years, my family has had the privilege of observing an abundance of wildlife that relies on this open space. We regularly see the federally protected egret, coyotes, rabbits, hawks, owls, falcons, turkey vultures, and during our first few years in the neighborhood, we had goats and donkeys on the property. I know this land serves not only as a visual amenity for residents, but also as an important wildlife corridor that supports our local ecosystem. The current proposal places a home directly behind the residences on Hillcrest, eliminating a substantial portion of this open space. Doing so would significantly diminish the rural character that residents value and would disrupt the habitat and movement patterns of wildlife that have long utilized this area. After reviewing the plans and the information provided, I understand that 6 homes are proposed for construction. Given the limited development footprint, I respectfully request that the home directly west of 941 Halecrest be reconsidered in order to leave the first lot adjacent to our house as open space as well. This would preserve the visual buffer that currently exists, maintain the character of our neighborhood, and allow wildlife to continue using the area after construction is complete. This modification would demonstrate thoughtful consideration for families who have invested, who have invested and contributed to the Halecrest community while still allowing the project to move forward. I respectfully ask that you give serious consideration to this request before construction begins. Preserving the open space west of 941 Halecrest would honor the existing residents, protect the important wildlife corridor, and help retain the country feel that makes this neighborhood unique. Thank you.
Thank you. Tabitha. And after Tabitha,
Laura Brown.
thank you.
Hello, my name is Tabitha Yanig. I live on East 7th Avenue, immediately on the western border of the proposed lot. I have 4 main concerns to bring up. The first is surrounding noise and working hours. Since we live immediately on that border and I have a young daughter, my concern would be whether there would be noise in the early morning hours or late into the night. We have several families on our cul-de-sac who that would affect. My second concern is centered on dirt runoff. Right now, there's not really any runoff that comes into our property from that direction. I would like to see effective mitigation measures put in place for dealing with the dust that could come from being on the border of a construction zone. Also, measures to be put in place surrounding rainwater runoff that might be happening while the project is underway. My third and probably most major concern is surrounding the grading exemption that's on the western border of that lot. I know that grading exemptions can exist if there's significant changes occurring with that, with the grading. Right now, at the top of that slope is a existing chain link fence, and then it slopes downward to a retaining wall that's on our back patio. So my concern would be whether the existing fence that's chain link would be demolished as part of the project, and any impact on our own retaining wall, especially because it looked like the site plans had about an 11-foot retaining wall being built at the top. I'd like to just preserve the structure of what we have in place in our backyard so that we're not dealing with any cracks or buckling or anything like that. The fourth thing I would like to bring up is that I was hoping to see a rendering of the project. Unless I misunderstood, it looked like there's not really a visual of what the actual ending project will be, which makes me concerned about what will the potential length of this project be. It sounds like phase 1 is surrounding the grading, and then potentially then going into looking at the actual plans for the houses up there, which would go a long way to kind of mitigating my concerns around privacy. Right now, we can see some structures up there, but no concerns really. I think overall it will be an improvement, but I would like to have those 4 concerns taken into account. Thank you.
Thank you. Laura Brown?
And then we have one more speaker after Laura, Bill Leister.
Thank you. Do we not have Laura here? Okay, thank you.
Thank you for letting me speak. My name is Bill Lister. I live at 929 Halecrest. I've lived there for 15 years, and out of the last 40 years, I've lived 24 of them in Escondido. So we really like Escondido. Our neighborhood is stable and quiet, and it won't be for the duration of this project. And anybody has an idea how long it's going to take to demolish one house, make a street, and add 6 new homes, we could be under construction for several years, okay? When we purchased the property in 2011, the stability of the neighborhood, the trees that protect the property, the lack of neighbors in the green belt immediately behind us were all the things that added to our decision to buy here. A friend of mine is a builder and developer that lived down the street from us there, and I asked him at one time, I said, how come that's not developed up there? And he said, well, it's a 4-acre lot, and it's zoned for one house only. It can't be subdivided. And now we're talking about 6 families being where it used to be. It was not subdividable. I read through the exemption criteria that it put before you, and one of the things that bothered me the most is you don't think there's any noise requirements, or the noise requirements aren't going to be a problem. No traffic, no air quality. The construction period in its own right includes demolition, heavy equipment, material deliveries, and duration for the duration of the project. If you discount the noise of 5 additional home sites, the noise generated by 6 families, cars leaving and returning several times a day in this day and age of FedEx, UPS, and other delivery vehicles, and service companies that will be making this truck, among them garbage trucks. There's 3 different garbage trucks that come by every week. They're going to be going up this property right behind my house. It's going to be noisy. One of the most important things in my household is my pets. My pets are absolutely freaked by any loud noise. And they're going to be subjected to this for the length of the project during its construction. And beyond that, having 6 families there, where instead right now there's only 1. It looks like some of the trees, I couldn't tell by the set of plans that I had, but it looked like on the landscaping that several trees in my backyard are going to be taken. I have one 24-inch oak, and there are other ones there. And if you think that you're going to replace one 24-inch oak with 2 trees, it's not going to happen. The difference between an 8-inch diameter tree and a 24-inch diameter tree is 8 times the volume, not to speak of the height of the tree. These trees provide shade and contribute to our utility bills by shading the house and the property, okay? I have several concerns as to relate to the slopes. Behind my house is a virtual, it's an invitation to hurt yourself when you
3
walk.
minutes are up.
Yeah, okay. One thing I do want to say so here is that we get snowy egrets in our property, and they're a federally protected animal. And I don't see where any of that's happened here. They are
Thank you, sir.
federally protected under the Migratory Bird Treaty Act. And I have pictures, and other of the residents have seen them on the properties as well.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for your comments. That is our list of those that put forth slips. Is there anyone else that would wish to address this particular topic? Okay. Thank you. We will go ahead then and close the public comment section. And with that, we will open this up for Planning Commission discussion. Any thoughts or comments?
Yeah.
Commissioner Jester, go ahead.
Seems to be a lot of concern regarding the construction activity itself. I think it's pursuant to the ordinance and the building department that certain BMPs are put into place to mitigate dust in the air and stuff like that. There's ordinances regarding hours that can be worked. So that, I think, is going to be, typical to any other construction process. I think also there were some concerns regarding damages to their people's property. And that's important. And who's going to be responsible for that? I don't know until it happens, who was at fault or whatever. I don't know if this is there soil import on this project, or is it a balanced site?
It is not a balanced site. There will be approximately 10,000 cubic yards of dirt total removed. I believe it's a total of around 17,000 cubic yards of cut and about 6,000 cubic yards of fill, about that number. The explicit numbers are in your staff report, but total there will be export for the property.
Okay. That's going to be a lot of traffic, a lot of truck traffic, so that's going to be definitely going to be a concern. I hear what people are saying, what their concerns are, and I understand them. So are they, wildlife concerns? We've got all kinds of concerns with this development of this project. The catch basin, Debbie talked about the catch basin size. Is it going to be adequate? She says it's not adequate now.
So the proposed drainage ditch is sized. There's hydraulic calculations that we've reviewed.
And it's going to be adequate.
Yes, for the 100-year storm.
Okay.
Can I ask a follow-up for that? The resident is concerned about what's there now. My inclination is to believe that in the past, whatever was maybe put there is probably not up to the standards of today, and this could very well be an improvement for that neighbor. Would you suggest that's a reasonable assumption?
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Okay.
Does that answer your question? I hope to. Yeah. So, Mr. Lister said that the duration could be a couple of years. I don't think that's going to happen. Developer's not going to be making any money if he's there a couple of years. I mean, as far as the grading and the establishment of the building lots, that should be a relatively quick process.
They can't even build houses in a big subdivision with 200-300 houses unless it's safe for 9 months.
Well, that's my point. It should go, we're talking about 6 houses versus 200 houses here.
Well, yeah, but there's an economy of scale, 200 houses, which is not for 6.
Well, I don't share your concern with the duration of the construction period, but yes, I understand about the noise and the air quality and stuff like that, and I think that there are specific best management practices that are put into place during a construction process. I know that your neighbor right behind you, he indicated that he was concerned about dust, and certainly that will be mitigated, I'm sure, with best management practices, and that it's adequately policed and made sure by the building official that that's being taken care of. That's all I had.
Thank you, Commissioner Jester. Commissioner Weiler?
No, I've only got a couple of clarification questions for staff. Somebody brought up blasting. Does this project propose any blasting on this site?
Thank you, Commissioner Weiler. Currently, there is none, to my understanding, that is proposed as part of the geotechnical, nor was there part of the grading. If there is something that is discovered that requires it, then, for lack of a better term, the project will be reviewed against that, and we may present to this body again should that become an issue. Because that is a modification to the project, according to CEQA, so we will have to analyze that if it is required. But at the moment, it is not.
Yeah, I didn't notice that in the staff report, so I was kind of surprised. Bond, sewer, fire, that was all addressed by staff. All is going to be reviewed and adequate as we go through the final map process. Is that correct?
That's correct. All the relevant departments have reviewed this project and have found it to be acceptable.
And then a few of the other items that were brought up were noise. I think we've addressed the runoff part, but there are noise ordinances that must be respected. and I don't remember what they are off the top of my head. Do you happen to remember, or does anyone from staff remember?
I do not remember the explicit code. However, it is in our municipal code under, I believe, Chapter 17, which is miscellaneous offenses. There's a subsection for noise, and it does have explicit controls for construction and those allowances.
Do you happen to know? Like construction can't start before like 7 a.m. or something like that, and that's citywide?
That's correct, yes.
Okay. A couple of other questions I had for staff was what's being proposed tonight is just a tentative map, so there's no architecture involved in this review process. That's correct?
Correct. There is no architecture currently proposed. Only the tentative subdivision map and the preliminary grading is proposed at this time.
Okay. Do you know if it's anticipated that this developer is intending to build homes there, or will they ultimately be spec homes? In other words, individual custom homes?
To our understanding and our discussions, they will be individual custom homes. Due to the lot configuration, there really isn't a way to do production homes for this type of project, so it would be individual tailored to each site.
So the intent is for the developer to sell off each lot individually, and somebody will come in and build their home?
We do not have that specific detail.
Okay.
The entitlement may proceed hands later, but at this time, we do not have that information.
Fair enough. And as a part of this project, when the grading occurs and the street is put in, all the landscaping is put in simultaneous, or as a part of the project, I should say?
I believe myself and Leah can both speak to that. It's basically like a domino effect of the project as it goes forward. There's the rough grading that'll go through, and while we review those, we also concurrently review landscaping plans. Typically for a project of this scale, we review the HOA maintained landscaping, and then the individual lot landscaping will come through when building plans come through as well.
All right, very good. I don't have any more questions of staff. Thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Stevie, any questions? Commissioner Carl? None? None? Okay. Go ahead, Commissioner Jester.
In the event that the land is, that we vote and we, on the tentative subdivision map and everything goes forward, and then the developer decides he's going to put it up for sale, the BMPs will remain in place adequately to address all of the public's concerns regarding water, noise, dust, everything else.
Right. As soon as it's graded, the BMPs are required to stay there until it's stabilized with landscaping or some kind of hardscape.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I just have a couple clarifications on the great questions that have been asked thus far. And one of them is, there was a question regarding the impact on a retaining wall of an adjacent property. My understanding is that when construction occurs on one property, that it is not supposed to adversely affect structurally the adjacent properties, and therefore that concern should not be an issue. With any of the neighboring properties, the retaining walls should not adversely be affected by this construction. Is that correct?
That's right.
Okay, thank you. Also, concerns regarding grading exemptions. My understanding is grading exemptions occur when there's grading that exceeds typical grading. In this instance, 2 to 1, as was mentioned, is typical. When we hit 1.5 to 1, is that one of the grading exemptions for that steep grading?
Yes, Chair Spear. Specifically, the grading exemption sections mention anything, I believe it mentions below a 2 to 1 ratio. So anything below that triggers that. If it was 1.9, it would trigger. As we go forward, it continues to require that. And as part of that review, anytime we find these in projects, we require that further analysis, and it goes through our engineering services as approved by our city engineer as well.
And I believe during the presentation, it was presented that the engineering firm that reviewed that gave recommendations and analyzed that, looked into what needed to happen in order for that not to be a concern. Then, as you mentioned, staff reviewed that as well.
Correct.
So those concerns should be well reviewed at this point.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
And that was the soils report, correct?
Specifically, the report referenced in the staff report is the preliminary geotechnical investigation report.
Okay.
Where they provide our engineering services with specific detail for the soil on site and how these slopes would either adversely or positively impact.
And they designed the grading procedures.
Yes, that's correct.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now, one other question. There was a concern regarding open space view obstructions. Clearly, we all have preferences, and the question of our concerns, our individual concerns versus what is a balanced concerns from fairness standpoint. We have standards in place that relate to that. Those standards are height restrictions. From obviously what we're looking at here is an entitlement for grading purposes without architecture. Within that, the anticipation was there's nothing in this entitlement that has to do with the height of the structure that is called out or specified at this time. Is that correct?
Correct, Chair Spear. Currently, there is no height or structure proposed. However, I would like to mention at one point in the staff report in the site design section specifically, we do reference that some of the natural topography as well as the retaining wall and the grading design do provide a sort of natural screening for the future homes that will be provided on site. With some of the split level detail, the retaining wall heights, some of them going up to 17, 18 feet in height, that is typically well above a normal height for a single family home. In the case of the potential design here, the second level would be screened from the existing grading on the top of the retaining walls and slope.
Okay.
So some of those concerns are naturally addressed by the project as designed. Some we would review under zoning standards for Article 6 and the future lots that we have.
Appreciate that. Thank you for sharing. Hopefully that helps our those individuals here understand that there are many considerations that go into that concern. So thank you. My last one is regarding a concern for trees that would be on the adjacent properties, some of those being, for example, maybe a 24-foot oak or 24-inch oak that might be large volume, highly prized. How was that reviewed? I did see a total number of trees for replacement. How is that looked at in terms of replacement? First off, I guess, are we losing some good old big trees, and how is that addressed?
Yeah. Thank you, Chair. During the review process, what we do review is the proposed grading as designed, which usually meets standards requirement, and some of those standards are inclusive for vegetation removal and replacement requirements. Codified in that section are specific requirements for the removal of what are called mature trees, which have a certain diameter at breast height, as well as those that are identified as protected trees, which are specifically live oaks at a certain diameter breast height as well. We have specific replacement ratios if those trees cannot be maintained on site. As one of our public commenters mentioned, our default for protected trees is a 2-to-1 ratio replaced on site if protection cannot be maintained. One thing that I can address as part of the concern is, as we mentioned similarly to the grading, as far as the grading is proposed, we would not permit encroachment into other properties unless there's express written consent from said property owner. And as part of that as well, before final grading and final map design, we would require a full secondary survey of the property as part of that in order to both identify the limitations of grading as well as the actual final map itself. So a lot of the concerns will be addressed as we continue review for post-entitlement projects, as well as if a concern of that degree for encroachment to other properties is presented, then again, we will subsequently review that if it is different from what we see here.
Thank you. Appreciate that, addressing that.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Note to the public speaker who, I think it was Mr. Lister, talking about the tree. When you see the stakes go up with the little orange flags around them, and they get real close to your tree, that'd be the good time to say, wait a minute, hold on here. We've got to find out what's going on. Yeah, that's an indication that they're staking out the area, and your tree might be, you might need to bring something up at that point. Say, hey, wait a minute, let's take a look at this.
Actually, that's the stake that the surveyor put out when I had my property, when I first bought my property, and that was the street as well, up towards our property. It should be protected.
So it should be okay.
It should be okay. And
Okay.
these are California oaks.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, we get it. We're sensitive to that for sure. Yeah, yeah.
If you start excavating down below the tree and cut off the roots, guess what? You got dead tree.
Yeah. Maybe,
About 50 feet high.
maybe, yeah. Could happen.
You good? Okay, thanks. Do we have any other questions that have come up by the commission? Okay. All right. Thank you for those great questions, and staff for your assistance with that. We will go ahead at this time, and we have 3 opportunities here. We have the opportunity to approve, or to provide conditions, or to deny. Do we have any discussion, or does anyone wish to make any comment on their positions before we call for a motion? Commissioner Weiler.
Probably first and foremost, speaking for myself, and I know the other commissioners, we always appreciate when the community comes out to voice their opinion. Their opinions are very important to us because it gives us additional things to think about as the project comes forth, and the impacts that you may believe will occur in your life and keep in your neighborhood the way you've been accustomed to. So we really do appreciate that. That has generated, because of your coming out and speaking, it generated a lot more questions that we may or may not have asked as a part of this project. And then it allows staff to make these clarifications so that not only do we understand, but the public understands how these sort of things are addressed. So thank you all for coming out. I did want to say that this project, I'm leaning in support of this project for a number of reasons. Probably first and foremost is there's only 6 lots. The city, when they did their housing element update, anticipated 12. The way that the state laws are requiring cities to increase density, there could have been even more than the 12 units on this piece of property. So for me, that really moves the needle for trying to keep a neighborhood close to the same that you've experienced. These are 15,000 square foot lots. A lot of the homes here are 10,000, and some are larger and some are less. But that really moves me in a direction of supporting this project. And I think that staff has addressed many of the concerns that were brought up this evening as a normal course of what staff does during their review process. So I'm going to support this project.
Thank you, Commissioner Weiler. Commissioner Jester, do you wish to say anything?
Yeah, I kind of lean toward Commissioner Weiler's statement with regard to the possible development of this little piece of land here, but yeah, I think that I'm going to vote in favor of the project, and it could be a lot worse. It could be 12 units. Because of the state and how restrictive they are, and the RINA and our housing allocations go, this is a small project.
Thank you. Commissioner Stevie?
I want to first thank my fellow commissioners for their technical questions. I appreciate, especially the engineers speaking up. You guys know your stuff, and it's very helpful to me as someone who's non-technical on these matters. And I want to emphasize the lack of control that we have in many of these decisions as a result of state action. The easy thing to do is to get on Google Maps and take a look at a satellite view of this city, and every acre that is undeveloped, we are basically going to have to develop. And that's not really an exaggeration. And it's going to be higher and higher density. We just had, if you're unfamiliar, briefing last planning commission from a recent bill that contemplated potentially turning the Target off of Interstate 15 into a mass development if that property owner ever decided to sue or to sell and put up to 80 homes per acre on that. There would be very little we could do to stop that. Like, that's what we're dealing with here. So, you know, when you get these projects that are coming in that do leave open kind of larger lots and, you know, they give some room for less development than is otherwise currently contemplated, if our goal is to keep Escondido from, you know, becoming balanced and not having too much traffic and too much water utilization and too much sewer utilization, unfortunately, it's kind of the best we can do. And again, our hands are really tied. And then in terms of considerations here, you know, for things that we're allowed to say no to a project, I mean, these things are very tightly controlled, right? So if staff tells us, hey, look, trees have been taken into account and water runoff has been taken into account and all of that, and it meets the standards, unless we have a good technical reason to disbelieve that and to push back, then our hands are, you know, not tied, but really the kind of the decisions made in a lot of ways. So because staff has assured us that these issues have been taken into account, and especially because the more technically sophisticated members of the commission feel confident that this project makes sense, yeah, I'm inclined as well to support it at this time.
Thank you. Commissioner Mercaro, do you have any comment that you'd like to make?
I'm in support.
Thank you. Okay. Okay. All right. Thank you. I will just second what's been said by my fellow commissioners. I do appreciate their comments. It's been well said. I would reiterate, I guess, that my position is similar. I look at this and I think, as I believe all of my fellow commissioners do, there is a lot of care and concern that we have for our community, and we view it that way as our community. And we also do greatly appreciate those of you that have, as Commissioner Weiler has stated, that you took the time to come out here and share your concerns, and those are not lost on us. I hope that you gathered what I gathered tonight in reviewing, in the commissioners reviewing those concerns with staff. As my perspective, at least, is as I questioned staff on those items, as if I were you, asking for you, I was very satisfied by the answers that I got, satisfied that there's been a lot of deliberation, a lot of review, a lot of scrutiny that has gone into these things and address those concerns, those very concerns that you have. And I think it's important that we take the opportunity to have staff explain that to us, and they did a very fine job, in my opinion, of doing that. So I'm also in favor of this project moving forward. And at that, I will ask if there is anyone that would like to make a motion.
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to approve Planning Commission Resolution number 2026-05.
Do we have a second?
I second the motion.
Let's call for a vote.
You can hit refresh on your iPad.
I don't seem to have a refresh button.
I don't have one.
Oh, I need to vote again? Oh, I'm going to vote again. Look at that. All right.
Okay, well, I got a black screen here.
We don't want you to vote.
That's a no vote. Okay.
I think I'll call it for this time.
What am I doing?
Can you hybrid the vote, or how does that work?
Yes, I'm just going to take the vote orally this time. I do see some of the votes that came in, but not everyone. So I'll call it now. Chair Spear?
Yes.
Vice Chair Stevie?
Yes.
Commissioner Weiler?
Yes.
Commissioner Correll?
Yes.
Commissioner Gustafson?
Yes.
Commissioner Jester?
Yes.
Commissioner Macaro?
Yes.
The vote is 7-0 to approve resolution number 2026-05.
Thank you. And thank you again, Mr. Engel.
Thank you, Commissioners. Appreciate it.
Okay, at this time, we'll move to the Planning Commissioners' report. Do we have any reports by any of the commissioners they wish to impart? Okay. Do we have a city planner's report?
Yes, thank you, Planning Commission Chair. Yes, if you look under agenda item number 5, you will find the report from planning. Again, this is very much a repeat of the last couple of meetings. As you heard earlier this evening, we do have one residential project that has been continued. So that is the only one that we have identified for a date certain at this point. The other residential projects will be forthcoming at some point in the next few months. One item that wasn't identified, and for those of you who've been on the commission for a while, you likely recall planning often will bring forth a 2-year work program, and then on the off years, we'll have an update to the work plan. That has not been done recently, and so we are due for that. It's likely that this summer we're going to be bringing that forward from the department to you just to sort of showcase what we have as more pressing matters and some other items that will probably get postponed into future years. So just as a heads up, that it will be coming. Depending on City Council's final review and approval, what they authorize for the budget, there could be some additional funds or projects coming out of that effort, and that'll also get rolled into the work plan for the department that we'll share with you all.
Thank you. Clarification on the continued item. Did you say that was undetermined, or we do know that that will be on the 23rd?
Yes, that is determined for the 23rd.
It is
meeting.
determined. Okay. Perfect. Thank you. All right. With that, we will go ahead and adjourn the meeting.